Oh, I love this word. It's kind of a lot like the word data storytelling. What exactly does it mean? But gosh, we talk about it all the time. So I decided to break this down and figure out, well, what does this mean? What does insight mean? It means the capacity to gain an accurate and deep intuitive understanding of a person or thing. That is the criteria that every single data story should pass that you present to your executives. If it doesn't have the capacity to help them gain accurate, deep, intuitive understandings, then you haven't hit the mark with how you've laid out your data story. So this is the criteria that I use. I run past everything that I do. Now, one of the most valuable things that you can do in elevating insight is to create story mechanics in your data story. And I've actually translated what's known as a narrative arc, which you might be familiar with, into how that can apply to data specifically. So here's what that journey looks like. First, we ask, well, what happened? Set that stage. This is like the exposition stage. And what surprised us about it? That offers a little bit of tension and that twist that people are seeking when they want to hear a story. Why do we think that it happened? This is a little bit more subjective. So the what happened is the objective observation, but the why do we think it happened is the more subjective interpretation that we bring to the table with our unique expertise, right? So we have to use that wisely. Okay, how bad can this situation get? How can it get worse? This is kind of like building up to a climax in a story. We have to know that this is a dire situation. What are the stakes if we don't take action? This is a big one in the journey because of a psychological dynamic called loss aversion. It's been proven that humans would rather do something to avoid losing something they have rather than gaining something that they don't have. So when we frame the stakes of our story as something they could potentially lose, that is one of the most powerful motivators to get stakeholders who are so busy and overwhelmed to take action on the thing that you're recommending, okay? And that lays the groundwork for you to come in and provide your recommendation. Okay, what should we do about it, right? So we see that this is a dire situation. What should we do? And who should do it and by when? So when I have laid my data story in this particular structure, I answer those questions, I inspire new ideas, I inform those decisions, and I galvanize into action, right? Those four things. Now, how do you lay this out visually? So I want to show you one of my most favorite tools that I've ever heard of. It's called the Anatomy of a Healthy Data Story slide. I've adapted this from a wonderful book called Good Charts by my friend Scott Baronato over at Harvard Business Review. And this is what the perfect data slide might look like. You have your title up here. It's in about 12%. It's not scientific. Don't go measuring your slide. It's more of a guideline. So you have your title up here. It's about 12%. You have a subtitle, 8%. Now you have this big, beautiful visualization field. It's 3/4 of your field. That's where your chart will go. That's where callouts might go or annotations, things like that. And then finally, you always want to source your data at the bottom of your slide to create trust with your stakeholder. Now, I want you to focus on this little area up here, and you might already be familiar with this technique, but if not, no worries, you're about to hear it. Many people don't realize, and no one told us, that that is the most valuable real estate on your slide, because the human eye immediately jumps to, especially in Western cultures, will jump to that upper left corner and read the slide to themselves in a Z pattern, depending on how visual the slide is. So what we often end up doing with that valuable real estate is we put a statement of what the chart on the slide is. Percent of unsuccessful visits per reason of a visit. Instant asleepness for everybody, okay? that is not the most effective use of that space. So rather than a statement about what the chart is, take that, put it in a smaller subtitle, and then put an observation or an insight in your title space, such as account information tasks both resulted in no successful visits. Boom! That is a story, okay? This is not a story. This is. It's the same data visual, but it's your story that's coming out in the most important area. And this, as I understand it, is what's known as a McKinsey title. And a McKinsey title will help guarantee that no matter how people visually interpret your charts and graphs, the story that you're trying to convey is crystal clear, especially if someone takes a screenshot or grabs it and sends it to someone. Your narrative path is set there, even if you're not there to narrate, okay?